ready to go. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume, and then when we left off, we were on Fulgora, and we were testing this recycler setup. So that we can make legendary circuits of various types. So, it's currently running, and we have this set to like 30-ish, and it's active. Now, is this going fast enough is the question. So this is basically going to be keeping us stable at like 100 from there. And then this one is just going to be running. Alright, so then we have our blue circuit supply there, which is all going fine. And this is doing all this stuff. So the only ones which we currently have enough of are the basic circuits. Let's see here. This... yeah, so theoretically this would be enough to keep up. Although I don't know if it'll actually work out properly because the swapping is a little bit inconvenient. So this is set to basically hold basic red circuits at just about 100. And that's probably going to stay that way unless... okay, wait, let's think. So this is only set to 30. So this will run this as long as there are at least 30 red circuits in here. And this will stop giving fresh supply if there's at least 100 red circuits in here. Let's see here. The uncommons are... we need the uncommons to get above 300 before they start running, and then once that happens, this probably isn't going to run much at all, because this will be spending a whole bunch of time cycling down the green circuits, or the uncommons, which we have a lot of. Okay, let's test that. So if we set you down to 100, and those two are also set to 100, so now this has swapped over to make uncommons, and now this should basically be just disabled indefinitely while this runs all the uncommons through. And this should be probably both of these are going to run continually for quite some time, but I think this makes 1.39, this can use up to 1.6, so theoretically this should occasionally run out of uncommon blue circuits while this just continues to churn through. Okay, we're continuing to lose drones on Novice. How's the supply going? We still have thousands of each, that's fine. Okay, so we got our first batch of legendary green circuits. That's cool. I'm surprised we didn't get any corresponding legendary red circuits. We must have just gotten unlucky because it's like a 50-50 on that. Yeah, so it's like a 50-50 whether you get any red circuits or not. Whereas the green circuits you're always guaranteed to get 5. So we unfortunately missed the odds on the red circuits for that cycle, but that's fine. So yeah, now this is occasionally running out. But then the amount of uncommons in here are slowly dropping. the amount of commons is staying fixed, basically. So that should be all fine and good. Let's check back to Gleba. See how this is working. So we've made another decent chunk of things over here. Yeah, I mean, this isn't like completely failing. It's working reasonably well. It's just using a whole lot of modules to do it. Because hopefully the Fulgora thing will be able to get this set up at full capacity, and it'll use a lot less modules to do so. So let's bring transport platform back to Novice. Fulgora support is just doing whatever it does. So that's all fine. And yeah, so we're going to need to bring more deliveries of modules here. How many do we currently have? We have 15 legendary quality modules sitting here. So that should be pretty good. Let's check the Holmium plate supply. Is the Holmium plate supply holding up? So we have 145 there. Yeah, it looks like it's going fine. So if we were to improve the Holmium plate supply, we would need to use it to craft something. Like maybe we would recycle no, lithium goes back to lithium, so we can't do that. So are any of these options which give us the Holmium plates back? No. So far. Does mech armor give the Holmium plates back? It does, but wow, that takes a lot of them and a whole lot of other things, so we're not doing that. What about Tesla gun? Tesla gun gives Holmium plates back, but also needs superconductors, plastic bars, and electrolytes. So yeah, I think so. We can't like do anything with. We can't get it any other way. Like we can't use Holmium solution to do stuff. So I still think this is probably just, practically speaking, the best way of going about Holmium plate cycling. Okay. So that's fine. We did manage to get a couple of those. And we've finished working on the uncommons now. We're back to just regular old commons. Which, let's see here. We have 47 rares, 4 epics, 355 uncommon green circuits. So yeah, that's just sort of doing whatever. It seems to be working. So this doesn't look like it's massively overfilling. So if we just start preparing to scale this up, then that will be helpful. Okay, so step 1 to scale it up would be to take the blue circuits out of here and send them down directly. So we have you going like that, and you are output priority left, filter blue circuits. So blue circuits come down this way and go across that. Let's get the Spidertron standing next to it just in case that's relevant. Okay, now there don't seem to be any low density structures on this side, right? Yes, so that is good. So then this would just come down to here, and then we wouldn't need that anymore. We would just pop that belt in directly, and that should help us out a little bit, except for the fact that we've broken all this stuff now. So that should be fixable just by popping a couple belts along to get those blue circuits out of the way, and then we can just dismantle that. Okay. So now the blue circuits are coming out. And that is all good. So this cycling is happening now. And how far are we from any of these? We only have 5 epics. We're up to 60-something uncommons. And 50-something rares. So that should be fine. And how much storage space is this taking up? This is taking up like half of this. Okay, so we're just going to leave this for now. And... oh, wait, I just realized we do need an outlet for extra blue circuits. So, we need this to, like, wrap around up to there and then connect in. I don't know. Something like that is not clean, but now we have an overflow so that if this system doesn't use all the blue circuits, which it looks like it doesn't, then we won't get a jam, which would be a problem. So yeah, this really doesn't even use that many blue circuits, probably. Now let's see, how fast is this? This is 0.8 red circuits per second, so it's going to be outputting, so the quality boosts are going to be a quarter of that, so it's going to be like 0.2 uncommon red circuits per second or something like that, and then it just scales down from there. Alright, so that's fine. Now, really what we need is we need a better spot for this. So this current system is very much just a mess. And we also don't have enough of this. So this train is outputting as fast as it can, but the boxes aren't even really getting a chance to buffer. So that empties, and then this all goes through, and just like that it's done, and trickling backwards. So we need to get a better supply of scrap going. Now on this side of things, we have only efficiency modules in here, and now this whole power line over here isn't even stable. So let's see, Spidertron, how are you set up? You are not set up super well, but you have 20 lightning collectors, which I believe are more efficient than lightning rods. So we're going to bring you over there to upgrade the power over here. So off you go. So if we just place lightning collectors everywhere there are lightning rods, then possibly slap some extra capacitors in there. So there we go. And then Spidertron is going to have to run around and place them all. Oh right, we need to be more we probably want to just get foundations at some point. So that one goes out. That one can go there instead. And then we want this one to be down there. And then that one, I mean, this whole area down here is covered. So there's that. And so it looks like the capacitors are actually the issue here. So it's filling all the way up most of the time. And then just staying there. So does Spidertron have capacitors in its inventory? No, it doesn't. I have to run all the way up there to do that. And hope that the Spidertron doesn't get zapped by lightning along the way. At least it doesn't get zapped too much. Okay, so now you're over here. You need to request some capacitors, and that is going to fill you up. Alright, so that is going through. This is still cycling, and it's back up to doing the uncommons. So that's cool. And you have your 50 capacitors, so you can run down here and just start placing a bunch more. So down you go. And then we get capacitors placed in. And we just need basically as many of them as we can get. And then power them all. So that can go like so. And it's hard to tell exactly, but something like that. Alright, so now these are all connected up. And then it'll just be a matter of seeing if the lightning storms are enough to do that. Okay, rocket fuel productivity is done. That's cool. Let's see here. What do we want to do here? Processing unit productivity, that would always be useful for sure. So these are still producing basically just as they have access to power, and then the power stops. Everything just sort of grinds to a halt. Okay. So what happens when a lightning storm comes? Do we have enough? Okay, there we go. So now we have production in, and the accumulators are spiking up bit by bit. So this is now filling up way more than it did in the past. And hopefully that'll be enough to keep it running. So now it's all the way capped at 360 megajoules, which is pretty good. And these trains are just waiting to be filled, which they almost are. Okay, so that's another thing is... Oh, I hit tab a couple too many times. So these trains aren't filling at full speed, so they are going to need... They're going to need these. It looks like they aren't going to need stack inserters here. It looks like the bulk inserters are perfectly good to fill that up. But we are going to need the Spidertron to request stack inserters. run up that way and then deliver them over. Just so that the trains can fill up a bit faster. So, okay, so now it's daytime. And the storm is stopped. So will this last all the way through? If it does, then we can start thinking about like improvements to the output of these. So if we can swap these away from efficiency modules and up towards like productivity and speed modules, that would be real cool. I wonder if we're going to need... Okay, wait. So the improved big mining drills only decreases resource drain, not mining speed. So we can't do that to make it easier, unfortunately. So Spidertron is up here, and it's got 8 stack inserters delivered, and apparently we don't have enough of those. So let's have Fulgora support. And let's have it request some of those from Novice, because that's just where it goes. And then we go back to Fulgora. Okay, now the whole main factory has died. That's not good. That's not good at all. So we must have broken this somehow. So why are you... So the heat exchangers are working. Okay, but the heat exchangers are working, right? It says working for the first couple at least. So we don't have solid fuel for them. Where does this solid fuel come from? It comes out of this, which is currently backlogged because we have too many low density structures. Okay, so where is our system designed to get rid of excess low density structures? That's this, and it's not working just because it's too slow. Can we speed you guys up just generically like that? So this is getting rid of 1.6 low density structures per second, approximately. And then the rest of these guys are just dealing with the excess from that. And hopefully that's enough. That's clearly not enough. And it might just be taking from there. Yeah, I see. So it's taking the low density structures from over there to fill this. So you actually... I want you to be a steel chest. Because I don't want... I want this to only take low density structures from up here so that that can actually work properly. Okay, so we have a bit of steam. We don't have much stored up, but it's fine. And we're about to run out of power again. But we have the steam engines running, so hopefully it's fine. Hopefully the power doesn't completely fall apart. Nope, it does. Okay, so now we're just at low production because of that. But we have that here, so it could be worse. And then it only lasts a short amount of time before that happens, and the lightning starts striking, and then we're back up to power. Yeah, so we're gonna have to like completely redesign Fulgora basically, because the current way it works is pretty terrible. So So, step one is, where are those, what are they called? Foundations or whatever. Foundations. So you need stone, tungsten plates, carbon fiber, lithium plates, and fluoroketone. Do I make that already? I don't think so. Although I think it won't be that difficult to add. It's just in assembly machines. So let's pop an assembly machine down. Find foundation. And we're going to need to import cold fluoroketone, which actually is... Okay, so this should be... No, it'll be easier if I just do this over here, I think. So there we go. That gets connected up. And then we're going to get all this built before we figure out where exactly we need to move the heat pipes. So then we need a requester chest to feed it the other items. And you need stone. I don't even know if we have stone here on this planet. Stone, stone, stone. There you are. Yeah, so we're going to need to import stone. And then we need tungsten plates, carbon fiber, and lithium plates, and then the fluoroketone. Okay, so we just pop a heat pipe there, and that should heat all this stuff up. Oh wait, I need to get the output. Output goes down to there, into a passive provider chest, and gets heated up like that. Okay, so now we just need to get stone there. And we have this guy here which takes stone to Gleba. How much stone is this, like, per thing? It's a lot of stone per foundation, so we do need massive stone supplies. So let's get another one of you, copy you, add space platform, and this will be Aquilo stone. I'm going to build that around Novice, and that'll be useful for Aquilo to have access to stone as well anyways. Now our Vulcanus stone supplies are more than enough for that once it gets built. So that will be cooking along. Now, as far as modules here, we've got 22 quality modules, and we're producing more, and we have 3 productivity modules. And that's taking its time. Alright, so Aquilo support, or Aquilo stone got built. So now we paste all of that in, and then that is just going to be cooking for a little bit. So while that cooks, how is the power grid going here? So now this is staying stable. So this can now output 100% of the time, which is cool. And next up, we have this guy. Did Fulgora support ever get those? Yes, it did. Let's drop those down and also just have Fulgora request them so that we don't have to worry about running out. There we go. So now we'll always have access to those. And the power grid here is still completely messed up. So, why is that? So a lot of our power comes from lightning collectors, and a lot of it comes from steam turbines. So the steam turbines are able to run to keep things from completely shutting off. But we need more steam turbines, I think. So, because they aren't running, like, during the day or anything, if we just add a couple extra steam turbines, that will help a little bit. Because we have all this storage, we might as well be faster at using it. But then the other problem is, like, this massive drop-off that we have. So, can we... We should be able to just solve it by adding more accumulators, hopefully. Or at least it'll help. So we copy-paste you. And pop that block in there. And then we'll see where all this stuff needs to be. There we go. So those go in like that. Then we get some more in like that. And hopefully that will get that whole area connected up. Oh, this needs to be attached up to there. So that those can be connected to power. And then all the rest of this is going. And that is a shortage of accumulators still. Does floor support transport accumulators? Yes, it does. And it seemed to have delivered some, but we then used all of them immediately after. So that's fine though. So now our power supply has a bit more juice in it. And hopefully that will hold out a little bit better. Nope, it's falling really fast. Oh, stopped. So the steam turbines provide like a reasonable amount of electricity to offset this fall, but it's definitely still an issue. So we can solve this problem through the power of fusion power. Just to get this attached as one of the many things that uses that. Okay, it looks inconsistent in terms of like when the power collapses like that happen. Like right now it's actually going up from the steam turbine power. So what was the demand that was... What was the demand? So we have... Oh, we have big demands from the rocket silos. It might be that. Yeah, it must be. So these are like 60 megawatts total. Yeah, so the rocket silos are a big power drain when they happen to hit during the daytime when there's no power from lightning, then that is an issue. But other than that, we seem to be more than capable of holding out. Hopefully that stays true. So I guess we could like add efficiency modules onto these. I don't know. I think just having the power grid be big enough that a couple of rocket silos doesn't break the budget is going to be more important ultimately. Okay, so how is this working? This is doing fine. We have 43 epic advanced circuits, 53 rare advanced circuits. So it looks like we haven't managed to do like a single full cycle where we're transforming epics up. Because then we should turn 100 epics into like 25-ish legendaries, and that hasn't happened yet. So it's definitely not the world's fastest process. And obviously the fact that we only have one of these running isn't helping matters, but we're now up to 19 out of 48 storage. which is an encouraging sign that it's not getting out of hand too quickly. So as long as this all stays under control in terms of how much the chest holds, then we should be fine. And otherwise, it could be a problem, but hopefully not. So the steam turbines are now running. It's super satisfying how this works. Just swapping between steam turbines and lightning collectors with a bit of accumulators to cover the gaps. And this is still having... We're still having scrap input problems, it looks like. So we've managed to fix this deadlock there. So now we're not running out of that. But then when we look down here, this still takes quite a while to fill. And I want these trains to just be filling like as quickly as the mining drill's output stuff. And that doesn't seem to be happening. Now, did the Spidertron ever fill up? Yes, so we do have enough stack inserters to run down here and get that going. So the Spidertron runs down and builds all these stack inserters in. And also just fills in a couple more accumulators, I guess. So that's fine. So now the next delivery should be loaded up a little bit faster, but at some point we're going to run into just overall speed problems where we just don't have enough mining to do it all. And at that point, we're going to have to upgrade these past their current modules. We're losing drones on Novice. Where is that? Up in this top left corner. Okay, that's fun. Let's solve that real quick. So we just need a Spidertron over here, and it's going to have to walk all the way across the map. We're just going to walk a Spidertron over here, and then move out to get a... what's it called? Get some drone ports out this way, and then place down an artillery post to clear out this corner so that they don't attack. Because yeah, this is technically like our main power source for the entirety of Novice. So if they do get through here, it's kind of a massive disaster. So let's try to make sure that doesn't happen. And I guess we can also just run that through. Place a couple more laser turrets in as well, just to be sure. Oh, this requester chest lost its drone port. So this gun is never actually fired, so that's probably going to be a component of it. Alright, anyways, now that that is in, and we're just going to have to wait for that drone port to get built. Now the Spidertron is here, and we will just sort of build another drone port out there and start moving forwards. And this should all get connected up to the system eventually. So that drone port goes up there. Really what I should do is just make a blueprint that's just 2 drone ports, like... Actually, it's easy. If I just do something like this, and then I just paste that out a couple of times, and we're gonna run the Spidertron down, and it's gonna fill in the last couple pieces here. Alright, so now this gun has ammo, but it is still inactive because I guess the guns there and there are covering all that. So this isn't connected up yet. So we're getting all that filled in. Alright, no, there we go. That now it's firing. That's fine. We will also... Let's just go one further out, I think. So this is pretty reasonably far. So that should be enough to get this set up. So we go... Where is it? Artillery outpost. And we just pop one of you guys up there somewhere. And then connect it into the power grid. Okay, so now all of this gets built, and hopefully those biters don't attack at this exact moment, because that would be kind of awkward. Because we still need power. Alright, so now the laser turrets are powered, so this should be nice and secure now. And that is going to then get all this stuff built in, and that should clear out this whole side of the map eventually. It will take a little bit, but it should happen over time. So the gun is in, the shells are on their way, and that's probably... Is that them? Yes, that is. Alright, so now this gets to shoot. And we get to clear out some biter nests. You love to see it. And obviously it's gonna have the classic requester chest artillery problem of not holding all that many shells at a time. So the fire rate's not gonna be fantastic, but it will clear us out eventually up here, and then eventually the fire rate doesn't matter anymore. The only thing that matters is its ability to just defend against these oncoming waves of fighters. Which is a little bit sketchy. Fortunately, we do have a Spidertron on hand at the moment. And we did not need to use rockets on that. It's fine. We're gonna have you sit back there, where hopefully you won't cause problems unless there's an actual danger. So yeah, that should just be running along. Now, how's Aquilo Stone doing? It is very slowly chipping away. We still have like 1,000 foundations left. But everything else should be fine. Yeah, so we should get this done pretty soon. And you have... Oh wait, no, this is wrong. This isn't set up correctly at all. Okay. You don't have the rocket turrets that you need. So actually what you need to be is... You need to be more like this one. So, let's copy you. And... Oh wait, no, you do? You do have rocket turrets. Okay, that's fine. I'm not sure I missed them, considering they are literally right there. Okay, so then as far as this goes, we're going to need to set up... We're going to need to set up all that stuff, but we won't need to right now. So we just need this to all get built. 731 space platform foundations left. And we have 7,000 available on planet. So back to Fulgora. So now these are all doing fine. And that's going along. By the way, I did manage to repair my mouse over the weekend, so the scroll wheel actually works properly, which is fantastic. So that's just really nice to have. Okay, novice. I assume that's just up here. Yep, nothing to be concerned about. All seems to be holding on. Okay, yeah, so that all looks fine. It's gonna get repaired and just keep launching, so that's all good. Over on Gleba, how is our supply of plastic? Pretty solid. That most recent attack seems to have done a bit of a number on us, unless... Yes, so that was the place where we ended up losing the laser turrets. They're just getting repaired. And Aquilo Stone is having donut-related problems. Those are probably temporary, right? Yeah. Definitely temporary. Alright. So, the bad news is that we still are going to have to wait for it to craft up its ammo once it's actually finished. But we do have asteroids starting to show up, which is pretty neat. So the asteroids are starting to show up, which hopefully will mean ammo starts getting crafted soon. And then this... Okay, you also need to have your fuel brought on board. That's important. Okay. So, foundation all built. Now we're just waiting on a couple of the other things, and the power grid, and then asteroids. So that's probably going to be the last wave of belts. Yes, belts are done. Now it's rocket turrets are the most visible thing, and those seem to be landing now. 10 at a time. Rocket turrets show up. And the uranium fuel is going to show up as well. That'll be a lot of uranium that we're going to need, but it should be okay. And other than the uranium fuel, this is all built, and we just will then need to run around and get the ammunition all set up. So that is that. We can't get this started until that exists, unfortunately. We just need the stone. You have 20 cryogenic plants, so that's cool. Gleba is doing its thing. Fulgora seems to be not draining as much power as it was. Like, considerably less. I don't know what's up with that. Okay, those attacks up here are continuing to happen, and we are losing a fair amount of laser turrets. Which I guess probably isn't a major issue. The Spidertron is definitely helping out here, which is nice. This should be almost cleared out, right? It's been cooking for a while. There are a whole lot of dead biter nests to show for it. And there goes another one. So yeah, we're basically done with this, probably. Unless... oh, it's shooting all the way up there. Okay, it's going far. That's a giant hive that it's going to take a while to deal with, but it'll get there eventually, no rush. Quilo is doing fine, by the way. Yeah, there's just not that much... Not that much power even being expended there. So, Gleba, meanwhile, has made its first 1,000 legendary plastic. And as a result, how is our module supply looking? We have 37 quality modules. Productivity modules are still in shambles. I'm going to need to get those delivered over. So this is all doing fine. It's just that we don't have that many We just don't have that many biter eggs to cycle down. And this is still very heavily using these. Okay, what's going on with that? Who knows? So yeah, like the first massive number of these are all just about equally heavily used. Let's get a couple more of those rows in and also make them legendary. So we got all that set up, and I'm not sure if it registered those placements or not. Okay, now it definitely did. So we have the legendary recyclers doing their thing. And that should increase the amount of biter egg processing that happens, because these are like the optimal possible combination. Like the odds are just a lot higher on these. So hopefully that will do. And there we go. So now these have been upgraded. And hopefully that will get enough productivity modules to do stuff. Now, transport platform has 13 productivity modules and 50 legendary quality modules. So you're going to head up to Fulgora to drop those off. But we're going to have to redesign Fulgora, at least to some extent. And when I say redesign, really I mostly mean like most of this basic stuff here can stay. It's like we need to redesign this portion, so we need to have better systems for crunching the scrap down into useful stuff, which is going to require a whole lot of modules and a much bigger setup like this, where we have the ability to destroy the unwanted stuff. Okay, now part of that is going to be that we want foundations, which means we need Aquilo stone to be up and running. And it is currently making explosives, it looks like. So the iron plates haven't been made because we don't have any calcite yet. And the calcite hasn't been made because we need to fill up all of this ice production first. I feel like I remember there being some way that I had flipped that around so that it didn't cause as much of an issue. Like, so that this stuff got some... Oh, right, I had a recycler in here. So you are going to be metallic asteroid reprocessing. And you can just do that. And hopefully that will give us the occasional ice chunk. So that should, the idea is that'll turn some of these metallic asteroids into oxide asteroids, and then we can get our calcite out of them and then be good to go. But that will still just require us to get a little bit lucky on a transformation. There we go, we got one. And that should give us really, like, the amount of calcite there is not small. So there we go. Now we have iron plates going, and that's going to give us hopefully the ammunition that we need pretty quickly. And then that's going to be out of fuel, but we have plenty of stockpiled molten iron. And the ammo goes out. It's going to have to so it has to get all the way around here before the ones that actually get used can be filled up. That's going to be a little bit annoying, but it'll get there as well. And And it should be pretty fast, right? And we have good productivity modules on these, so that's not a concern either. The rockets are mostly not important for now because we're going to have to get moving before we get to an area where the rockets even get fired. But the regular ammunition, we're going to want as much of that as possible. Which means we're going to need to get lucky with another burst of oxide stuff, which seems to have paused temporarily. All this stuff still turning into ice, all this stuff still backlogging. And the water is all going down to there, so that's fine. What do we need 200 water for? And that's a lot. Who knows? Not counting that these guys use that much water, but there's probably some reason for it, right? Oh, it's up here as well, takes water. Yeah, I guess basically everything takes water, right? So that's unsurprising. Okay, can I also get another one on here to do carbonic... no, not that. Asteroid reprocessing. And then you can do that, and that should boost our chances even more of getting the oxide asteroids that we want. So that just cycles through. There we go. Every little bit of that helps. And there we go. That's just running. It'll take a while. There's no real need to stare at it. Productivity modules are doing their thing. Transport platform is over Fulgora. Let's drop the modules down immediately. And what else? We probably don't need to deliver things to Fulgora. It's probably fine as is. Okay, so for the redesign, what do we need? We need so preferably just like a supply of scrap. So what we need to do is we need to have the scrap go through the recyclers in such a way that we can get all the output out super fast. But we also, we can clearly see we just need more scrap per second. So that's going to be one of the big things then, is just getting more of these guys set up. And this one is set up properly, right? So let's see here. I guess we could once we get the foundations, we can run this all the way up. We can run power to connect the grids once we have foundations. That'll be super handy to have. Aside from that, though, the power here is way too sketchy to swap over to productivity plus speed modules to get actual output rate out of this thing. Now there's this one up here which has 40 million scrap on it. So we could just set up a different unrelated system for making the legendary items. So we could just take this scrap, put it on a train, bring it over to this island here, and then do it like that. But I do want to have trains keeping everything interconnected. So that is going to be part of what we need to work on. So what I want to do, basically, is, my end goal for what I think would be cool for Fulgora is we have our scrap mines, right? Then we take those to a central location, a relatively large island like this one maybe, and on that island we break it down into all the different outputs of the scrap processing. And then we just load each of those onto a train, and then that train brings it to a separate island where we do stuff with that particular output. And then we have just this whole giant complicated train network linking a bunch of different islands together. I think that would be very cool, and it would also help for like keeping things abstract, right? So we don't have to worry about all the individual different things. We can just say we're dealing with blue circuits here, and we just do all that. And then obviously the complex part about that is when we need to combine different outputs together, but that's what even more islands with even more trains are for. So in order to do that, first we need to, I guess, just head over, probably just have this island over here be our sort of hub for that. And we're going to need to find, we're going to need to place down a lightning attractor or something so that we don't have our Spidertron explode. So the Spidertron has lightning collectors on it, so we can pop one down there, and that'll at least give us enough space to build here. Okay, actually I want... The Spidertron probably doesn't have a radar, right? Yeah, no radar for the Spidertron. So let's run back over this way and get radars built so I can just see that whole thing and not have to worry about it. Spidertron did get zapped by lightning, but it has shields, so that should be fine. So you just have to run all the way back. And unfortunately, the Spidertron running back and forth is probably going to be a critical component of this factory for a while. Because until we get... Really, it is just all a question of when are we going to be getting the foundations over, which hopefully should be soon. But yeah, let's get you to hold the radars. Aquilo stone. The ammo is going out, and it's mostly filled at this point. So we're just missing a little bit on the edge, and then obviously we're missing all of the rockets. But if you get moving, then the rockets will show up. And let's see, if we check, all of these guys have some rockets already, right? So that is also just almost filled. Okay, yes, I think you are about ready to go. So what you need to do is we need to take those two out, add Vulcanus. You have the refuel interrupt, that's good. So you need to wait until you have some amount of stone is greater than 2,500 probably, and then we're going to add a group. Let's take that group out because that's not what we want. We want you to be carrying 5,000 stone from Vulcanus. So you do that. You take your 5,000 stone from Vulcanus, and then you also wait for 30 seconds probably, just in case some other stuff has to happen. Then you go to Aquilo, and at Aquilo you are just going to wait for probably 60 seconds. Okay, so that should be all you need. And now we get to see how that lines up. And unfortunately there's a bit of a stop along the way. You're going to have to pass through Gleba, but it should still be fine. We shouldn't need like an infinite amount of stuff for that. Okay, this is still going as well. It looks like the Gleba plastic supply is going quite nicely, so that's cool. It's good that that did eventually end up more or less working. Okay, but now we look down here, and this is all messed up. So you don't have any rare green circuits. And you aren't running at all. Okay, so that ended up breaking. It ended up breaking for the reason I was worried about, which is that I guess we have 24 rare circuits left and we're already out of the green circuits. How did that happen? Like, I would expect it to be close if there were issues, but it was not close. Okay, so we need to add on to these as well. So you need to account for both red and green circuits. So you need to have that, and green circuits are greater than 500, let's say, or that and green circuits are greater than 50. So in theory there should be 5 times as many. No, wait, this outputs 10 times as many green circuits as red circuits. And this yeah, so it should be just like a 10x probably. So then that would be 100. So that is now all set up for you. Then we need to do the same thing for all of these. So you go into there, you get an and. Reds. Oh, wait, no. Then we need to get the rares, and this needs to be green circuits are greater than. That does need to be 1,000. Let's have that be 200 probably. Or all this stuff, which includes and green circuits. Rare green circuits are greater than 50. I don't know. Just some numbers to make sure that it won't try to do things if it gets stuck. Okay, so we have those two. Then we need to do this one as well, which is really, really close to starting up. So that is epic green circuits. That gets an and. Is greater than 200, let's say. And then this one, which I just want to be organized like that. Epic green circuits are greater than 100 or something. I don't know. Again, we're going to have to figure out what exactly the ratios need to be for all this. And then we have to do the same thing for the uncommons. So this will be uncommon green circuits, and it goes into there, are greater than 500. We're really going to need to sit down and think about what all the math needs to be for this. And that uncommon green circuits are greater than 100. Yeah, let's say something like that. So now this is resorted back to the default type. So now this is running again. So that's good. We did get 9 and 90. So that's pretty neat. It's not a trivial amount of green circuits or red circuits. It's not a great number of red circuits, obviously, and green circuits aren't really the issue at this point, but still, nice to have. Meanwhile, Gleba seems to be cooking along quite nicely. And how is this going? We have 700 of those, 1.2k of those, so that's cool as well. So Aquilo Stone is here, and it... Huh? None on the way, but 10,000 available on planet. What is your problem, huh? So we've got plenty of stone. Is the rocket launch capacity bricked, or is it... Oh, it's just doing something else. Okay. We only have 2 launch pads here, and they are both doing other things at the moment. So it seems. They are launching legendary iron plates, apparently. Up to one of these guys. That's fine. You can go ahead and do that. Gleba Stone is working as intended. Aquilo Stone is still waiting. So what we've learned from this is basically we need to add more rocket silos here to Vulcanus. And let's see if we can just get them down here. So that can go in. And Vulcanus doesn't have rocket silos. But you do have the ability to craft them, right? Got those somewhere in here? Yes. So we're going to craft up another couple of those. And let's just add like 2 of them. And we're putting them down in this area because this is the area that a lot of the stuff is coming from nowadays. So it makes sense to just launch it up directly. So then we're going to need to feed these with low density structures, blue circuits, and where's the rocket fuel? Where's the rocket fuel? There it is. Okay, and then we get these moduled up so that they can go relatively fast. And then we just need to get this other one set up as well. And paste those settings in. Then we get a speed beacon over. And a couple of productivity modules. Okay, so that's all set up. And rocket fuel doesn't seem to exist. Did we never put rocket fuel into the logistics network? Did we always just belt those in directly? Yes, it seems like we always just belted those in directly. No issue. You can become a passive divider chest. And that will be that. Then let's expand that out so it can store a little bit more. And those can be made bulk inserters just to help that accelerate a little bit. So there we go. That should be a bit more launch capacity. And this guy is going. And this guy is probably still getting crafted. And also needs a power line there. Alright, so you're just getting built. Kilo Stone still hasn't gotten anything delivered at all. So we're definitely going to need the increased launch capacity for this. And it's all going. You get automatic requests. This one still hasn't been built. Are we short on some ingredients here? No, we seem to... We might be short on engine units. No, we have plenty. So So we're just short on concrete getting filled in. That will take a while. And in the meantime, we've got a whole lot of rocket launches to do. So the concrete needs to get up to like 1,000. And do we make concrete here? We do. And we have plenty of it. It's just taking a while to get sent across, which is fine. So now we've decided to launch all the calcite up from here instead of doing anything else useful from this. Alright, that's fine. Let's get a buffer chest here to store the various things. So you get a buffer chest to store calcite in. And you can just store like 200 of it probably. And that should be fine. What else is it that we launch a lot of out of here? I don't know. Oh, tungsten. So yeah, let's get 250 tungsten set up, ready to launch. How much launch? Rocket capacity of calcite is 500, so we probably want this to be 500 then. Just so that we have that in advance, right down in this area, ready to use. And then this one over here still has to craft up its rockets. Alright, so that is all set up and ready to go. Okay, now we don't have low density structures in the logistics network. Are those short? No, they also just have a steel chest instead of a passive fire chest. And this might need to be accelerated. So that is 1.26 per second, which is exactly enough to feed 2 of these. But theoretically, if we have 4 going at all times, then this wouldn't be able to keep up. So let's squeeze more speed modules in here to get you going a little bit faster. And right, just putting a new beacon in makes it slower, but now that's up to 1.67, which will be a little bit better off, and I can't imagine us needing to keep up with all of that. So now these are short on processing units. So step 1 is to upgrade all of the modules along that row. That seemed to be our main processing unit source. So these guys should be faster now. And they are going about as fast as they can to make like 1.5-ish per second, which is, again, potentially an issue. Okay, so I guess this passive provider chest here. Okay, wait, these guys are also... Is this the only source of blue circuits here? Where does this belt go? This belt... Okay, no, this belt does eventually wrap into all of this. So that's all fine. And we just need... We do just need more blue circuit production, it seems. Which probably means we need more red circuit production. Yeah, fortunately we have all these modules here, so we can just get that stuff for free. And speed module them up. Vulcanus is apparently 27 productivity modules short. Okay, so who here takes productivity modules? Surely one of you guys must be delivering those, right? Yes, Vulcanus Support 3 delivers productivity modules to Vulcanus. And does the planet accept them? It does not. That is the problem. So you can request those. Apparently there's some of those in orbit right now that can yoink. So that'll be nice to have. And these guys are all working. Apparently we need more copper cables. So this guy up here is our copper cable source. And you are going to need to be speed moduled and I guess productivity moduled. This guy over here is also producing copper cables, so you can get that boosted up even faster. Molten copper doesn't seem to be a huge issue. And if it is, then we can always fix that easily. Because these guys up here are not really moduled sensibly. So let's get those guys in. Okay, so now we're only 10 productivity modules short, which is still some. But it should show up when whoever this guy is returns. Unfortunately, you're going to have to make like a full round trip. Aquilo stone has almost enough stone to be worth leaving, but not quite. Alright, Vulcanus. How are you doing now? Still not enough blue circuits. So this one is running. A lot of these are still running into problems with the red circuit supply, which should be much, much faster. Let's see, this guy is output full right now. And there's not that much to be done about that. I guess, wait, do we have stack inserters on this planet? Those exist? Not currently. Alright, Vulcanus support 3. You are going to grab stack inserters from Novice and bring them over to Vulcanus. So we have those available, and you are going to request them. And apparently there are some just coincidentally in orbit. So that should be fine. So now that should dramatically increase this guy's ability to output stuff. And this guy as well. These guys are both going to want stack inserter outputs. So that should get the wire flowing faster, which should get all of these guys going. And we're also doing processing unit productivity. Let's just pop that research in again. Just why not? And how's the coal supply going, by the way? Looks fine. We have 11,000 coal to spare in storage, so that shouldn't ever be a problem. And the blue circuits are still limiting us by a lot. So hopefully we can get some time for these guys to take a bit of a break and have the blue circuits get ahead. Okay, down here, actually it's rocket fuel that's the problem, which does make a lot of sense. So rocket fuel goes down here into this box. Okay, rocket fuel is seemingly not super limited. So if we upgrade your modules, then that should help. So currently this is 0.28 per second, now it's 0.41 per second. And when the modules show up, it'll be even better. So that should get us going. And the amount of solid fuel we have is currently enough. I was not expecting to run into rocket limitations today, but here we are. Quilo Stone still getting sorted out. So it's the blue circuits and the rocket fuel are both very close to identical limiting factors. So these guys up here are taking just excess red circuits from this. And they don't... Okay, this one does have a speed module. So let's get you upgraded. There we go. We're still 26 short. And one of you guys... It's the one that's still got most of a trip to go, unfortunately. So that will take a bit, but we have launched another stone, and it seems to be going up to Gleba Stone. I guess they get dibs because they were here first. Yeah, we really badly need this launch capacity to get improved. It's quite the issue. Now, you don't have... I guess you have 8 epic productivity modules. Okay, let's do that. That'll help a little bit. There you go. You guys both get epic productivity modules. That should help. Hopefully that'll help a tiny bit. And we can get all of this going. Okay, so now Aquilo Stone is getting its supply, which means soon it'll be off to Aquilo, and then hopefully that will be that. So these guys are more efficient than ever, which should hopefully get us there. And we might want... No, not testing platform. Transport platform. We might want you to go back to Novice to get some things sorted out. Because I don't know, like we might wind up delivering legendary productivity modules for this. That would help quite a great deal. So these are 106% productivity, whereas these ones down here are only 70% productivity. Like, it's a massive difference. So that is a thing. So that's going. Rocket's getting launched. And now you're probably going to get... Yeah, so you have 4K now. There's another 1,000 on the way. So you will get fully filled up. And then we just need Aquilo to request the stone. So you are going to request, like, I don't know, I guess 5,000 stone. Just have a whole bunch of it. Don't run out. Should all be great. Alright, so that is all set up. And you should be leaving any second now, once just the next 30 seconds pass. So you are now going to head up. Oh, wait, no. You just launched down something for some reason. I'm not sure what that was. It looked like it was some weird thing. Okay, Novice is getting big attacks now down on this artillery outpost. So we might want to expand that down a bit. So So yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Do we have... No. Okay, so we need to just copy-paste a section of that. And then just run that forwards a bunch. And I'm not sure this is the most efficient blueprint that we have, but it's fine. So we're just going to run that further down south, because we're still pretty far back. There's a lot of space in the pollution cloud ahead of us that we need to clear out. So we can get all that going. Looking to support 3 is finally moving in the correct direction. So that's all going. And Aquilo Stone is on its way. So it's going to go to Gleba, do nothing of interest there, and then move on to Aquilo to deliver this 5,000 stone that it's got. And once that happens, we can start producing foundations, and probably you can just be the one to deal with that. Foundations. How much of these? Stack size of 50, rocket capacity of 50. Yikes, that's gonna take a lot of rocket launches to get any reasonable amount going. So we're still gonna want to try to be as limited as possible in terms of that. So meanwhile, this expansion down here is getting built. And I should have started moving the Spidertron down here ages ago. But better late than never. So down it goes. And all of this stuff is just going to get built via drone port. And then eventually we can clear out, yeah, these biter nests down here need to go. And I wonder, are there more artillery range upgrades that we can do? There are. Kind of expensive, but not unmanageable. Which would obviously just be helpful for not having to do this as frequently and push as far out. Okay, the Spidertron is making its way through the solar fields. Hopefully these biters don't randomly attack a power pole. It seems like they might. Okay, no, we managed to get lucky, and they ignored those. But now it is fighting time. There we go. No problem. Alright, Spidertron is here. And we want to just keep on going out just right up to the edge of the map, really. So now we're all the way out here. The artillery outpost that we build from this is definitely going to cover a good amount of territory. So you can go all the way down to there. And then power lines get connected up. And all this stuff gets built. And now we just have to wait for, what, like this one batch of power lines to get built. Okay, so now this is powered. And then we'll just be waiting for the artillery shells to show up. And let's set this up to 30 actually, because that'll just make it shoot more quickly and deal with everything that much more conveniently. And some of these guys are really close to this outpost. It's definitely one of the further out outposts that we've built, which should be pretty helpful in, like, once these guys in the pollution cloud are gone, it should be a long time before the pollution cloud expands enough to get more. Okay, so Aquilo is just launching stuff. Aquilo Stone is getting there. And speaking of things that are getting there, these are probably bringing artillery shells. Yes, they are. So there we go. Now we start firing. And that will be that. Speaking of stuff with artillery shells, how's Gleba doing? It looks fine, probably. But I think I want an artillery shell area up north, potentially. So the Spidertrons run up there. And then what we need to do is we need to copy this. So this will provide cover for us, and then let's build this off to the side, so if we wanted to expand this, we can. And then the power poles go back until they connect to something. And then we just pop down a self-loading gun behind them. And with all of these turrets, this is built backwards, by the way, but with all these turrets plus everything else, it should be fine. Okay, somewhere on Gleba I've accidentally placed... Yeah. You need to be that. And then we need the power lines to get connected in so that all of this can start up. So let's see those power poles get built. They're all stopped at this one roboport. Okay, one more power pole and then we should be in the clear. Alright, there we go. Now that drone port is getting charged. Is there like a power issue here? No, there's not. It's just this roboport in particular is slow to charge for whatever reason. So now we get artillery up here, and that should keep us nice and secure. We also have a whole bunch of rockets that still just are going to be delivered. So that is that, and these guys now have ammunition to defend themselves with. And it's apparently a correct decision to place the turret there because we have a couple of guys to shoot at. Potentially, hopefully not that many. But yeah, definitely seems to be a couple of places that shells are going now. And some of these seem to have been just outside of the pollution cloud, or spore cloud technically. But that is fine. So over on Fulgora, this is still working. We have 34 legendary red circuits. So let's call in Fulgora support. And you are now going to be taking these from Fulgora, and those are minimum payload of whatever. Then legendary red circuits, also from Fulgora, probably a minimum payload of 100 would be reasonable. And then I guess also legendary green circuits. And that should be a whole lot easier to get a hold of. So all of those are going to be coming in from Fulgora as they become available. And we're going to want to add onto this chain, basically. So let's get this. Okay, this wasn't super well designed for copy-paste purposes. So that needs to go down like that to start with. so that it's nice and straight for the blueprint. Okay, so this... We lost a power pole. Presumably that power pole. Get rid of that. But we're all fine. Nothing spectacular broke. And now this gun currently isn't doing anything, so that's cool. Over on Gleba, this gun seems to have ran out of things to shoot at. And apparently we need another drone port 5 feet over to the right to get this last rocket turret. How is the range that bad on these drone ports? Who knows? Okay, so Aquilo stone. Did you end up delivering stone? Yes, you did. So we have 3,646 stone in storage. And that is being converted now. So I assume this can't be productivity moduled. So we will just speed module you, just so that you can run more quickly. And it's still quite slow, but that's fine. That can run. Hopefully we won't need that much. Okay, so back over to this. If we just copy... No, if we copy all of this, the sulfuric acid production is going to be in the chain, which definitely doesn't need to be. So, what we need to do is take all the sulfuric acid stuff and move it up a bit, or move this down a bit. Okay, I guess we can just sort of copy-paste... Yeah, actually, wait. If we just do this, then place you in like that. The beacons up here are a problem. So we need to get those beacons in. Okay, first of all, let's move all of those accumulators over there for now, where we can build this. So we need this to go down a little bit further. And what we need is these beacons to be there and there so that they don't interact with that recycler. And then this whole segment is then just there. Right? That all lines up correctly, I think. And then we just need the other half of these accumulators to get connected up to power. And then we need that belt to continue on down. And did we ever deliver those? Yes, we have 13 legendary productivity modules, so that will be good. So we can upgrade you and put you in. And that will be that. Then we just need the sulfuric acid to make its way down. And something like that. So you are set up to run once this hits 30. So this should hit 30, and then this should get its recipe, right? Unless we don't also have enough green circuits. Alright, so yeah, now that's running. So now it's running and doing its thing. Okay. So, Now, is there some way of moving these beacons around to cause less trouble? They don't fit over there. No, it's pretty much just that way. It's pretty much just how it is. Ah, well. So the advanced circuits are still cooking. These dropped down to 57. So the epics, we have 59 and 620. It looks like we are... So we are getting more green circuits than red circuits basically across the entire chain, except for specifically rares, where it's like 3-to-1 for some reason. What on earth is... I don't understand what's causing that to happen. Like, it's almost exactly 10-to-1 with maybe a slight favoring towards the green circuits in all of these, except for the rares where it's like 2-to-1 at most, like bordering on 1-to-1. So what is going on with that? Like, what is different about rares? Oh wait, is it just this ratio? So this is a 1-to-2 ratio. This is a 10-to-1 ratio. No, but this one is a 1-to-2 ratio. Oh, this one is 10-to-1. That one's 10-to-1. That one's 10. Okay, so this is 5-to-1. So let's set these up to be a straightforward 10-to-1 ratio. So that is 100 to 1,000 and 10 to 100. This is 100 to 1,000 and 10 to 100. This is 100 to 1,000 and 10 to 100. So that might do it. I still don't understand how it's possible for the ratio to get off like this unless I was like somehow removing those from the system, but that doesn't make any sense either. Yeah, it just does make sense. Alright, and then this is set up to basically just hover base red circuits at around 100. And this should then be fine. I mean, this is basically always going to be active, just because of how that works. But, alright, let's get these new settings pasted down, just so that that's all up to date. And now this, okay, this theoretically, working at full capacity, makes 1.58 blue circuits per second. And this machine, working at full capacity, uses 1.6 blue circuits per second. So that's very close. So theoretically, this should be pretty efficient, right? The bonuses here are working overtime. So we're going to be losing like 1 green circuit per second out of this whole system. Who knows? It's hard to say. I wish there was an easier way of telling like exactly what the numbers were, like how many of everything per second you could make. But that's all going just fine. Okay, these ones can get... So this row of holmium, I noticed they have... I have to set this up correctly, right? Legendary. So these have the same sort of setup where we have some recyclers with legendary modules and some without. So let's make the first couple extra fast so that we don't use these less efficient modules as much as possible. And how many of these? Still no real shortage of legendary recyclers. Unless we start going absolutely crazy with them, it should be fine. And then do we have more? We have 3 legendary productivity modules left. And the holmium solution is still like a limiting factor, more or less. So you can be extra fast. Or extra productive, rather. This one is actually the fastest in theory, but this one gets the most dibs on resources. So this one gets first dibs, whereas this one gets 3 beacons. So that's sort of a trade-off there. But that should make the amount of holmium plates that we produce a little bit higher, which should help us out a fair amount. That's up to productivity plus 235%. That's quite good. And the only thing we can do now is just sort of sit and let that be. Aquilo is low on carbon fiber. Gleba, I believe, has plenty of carbon fiber, right? How is production of this going? We have 4.8k. So this makes 1 per second, and Aquilo is mostly the place that uses it. It uses 0.5 per second there, and where else is even using it, like, continually? Is quantum support? Yes. So we're using a decent chunk of it up here. But we should still have more input than output. And quantum support still has fluid input problems. Why is that? Is Aquilo's having barreling issues again? We have 98 hot fluoroketone barrels. So that shouldn't be the problem. Does this just need to request more barrels? Okay, wait, you request 100, and the rockets are limited to 100, so the 98 is actually, funnily enough, causing a problem. So, we need to get more steel in here. Can you request some more steel so that we can make more barrels? You request like 500 steel at a time. And then Aquilo support, no, that's not the one, it's this one. Aquilo support 2, which is going to then request, I guess, 800 steel, because that's just 2 stacks worth. So that should get that done eventually. And we just need to... We keep losing barrels somewhere. I'm not sure where they end up going. They probably get dropped down on some random planet that isn't Aquilo, and then just sort of mixed in. Like, probably Novice takes them or something. I don't know. Something like that. Okay, so now this whole area is mostly clear. That doesn't look like a nest. That looks like just some random biters which happen to be there. So there's some biters up there that are in our pollution cloud, and then some up there and over there, but we are starting to get to the point where, like, the pollution cloud is getting pretty well covered. So that's cool. So back over to Fulgora. This is still cooking. We have 425 legendary green circuits, 36 legendary red circuits out of here. Aquilo support. No, wait, which one was doing it? Fulgora support was the one. So you are picking up resupplies for the legendary recyclers that we're crafting. And there are apparently 533 legendary green circuits available on planet. So we can just, like... I mean, this is 425 off of just one of these. So we can kind of just turn off the legendary green circuit production on Novice. I'm probably not going to, because we're not exactly short on any of the things that go into it. But it is nice to have just all of that stuff available as needed. Still red circuits are the main limiting factor. And Fulgora is better at producing those than most places. So let's see here. Are we going to be able to paste this whole thing over again? I think not, right? Yeah, we don't have any productivity modules anymore. So we need transport platform. Do you have productivity modules? Yes. Okay. Actually, do we want to start... Yeah, let's just clear out Gleba, get that all finished up, and then take the extras down to where we're headed now. So how many quality modules do we have? We have 25 spare. I'm actually going to limit that at 3 stacks, which might conceivably be a thing that happens now. It's not been remotely a concern for a while, but it's starting to potentially become an issue. We have 1 spare productivity module there. This is doing its thing, and then we'll be able to get enough productivity modules back to Fulgora to build another set of these. And let's just get that in. So we copy you, and do we actually need to turn this? Probably. Yeah, so we're running into space related issues because this is not very space efficient. So if we build you in like this, that's about as close as we can get before running into other things. So you go in like that. Then you just get a split off of the blue circuit supply. And then we get an underground pipe here to get the sulfuric acid through. And it seems like we didn't build this properly. What? How? How does this not fit? Are these not square? How is that? How is there stuff in the way here? How is there stuff in the way here that wasn't in the way previously? Oh, is it just because of that random power pole? It must just be because of that random power pole. Okay, so you go here. And then the speed beacons go there. No, one over. There and there. So you get your speed beacons. And you get, I guess, for now you can have the old epic productivity modules. Just temporarily, obviously. And then you should be all set up. So this... Oh, I see. We need to connect this up. Which just goes to there and set recipe, I think. And that's the only instructions on that. Yep. So now that's all good. And we just need to rotate you to get the sulfuric acid in. And now that is going as well, and we have 3 of these guys active. Of course, this first one is very far ahead at the moment. Storage space is starting to fill up. I don't know if that'll become an issue or not. I guess we'll have to see. We have enough of those to run them. We are still, for some unfathomable reason, limited by green circuits for rares instead of red circuits. And then these ones are just a little bit low on both, and these ones have too many green circuits and not enough red circuits. Genuinely no idea what's going on with that. It should be like, okay, so obviously there's going to be some variability because it's a statistical thing in terms of how many red circuits it produces. But it's still weird that the numbers are that precise for some of the rarities and that horribly wrong for others. It just doesn't make sense. Alright, so transport platform is about to make it to Gleba, where it will deliver a couple of these modules. And then Gleba will be a good solid supply of plastic, which is still nice to have, just a supply of legendary plastic. And once we get more quality module production, once this Fulgora setup comes properly online, I might return to this and just keep expanding it out to the point of insanity, because you might as well have a supply of legendary plastic as well as everything else. It's convenient to have. Alright, so Fulgora, still 37 of those and one of those. So that's still going relatively slowly. And you are still waiting on carbon fiber, so what we're going to have to do probably is set you to ask for like 1,000 carbon fiber so that we don't run out. And which one of you is carrying it around? It's you. You're going to be bringing like 500 at a time, which should be okay. Okay, and then transport platform has filled up Gleba, so that's no longer giving us warnings. And then we're just going to need to enhance red circuit production to get the quality modules, and then we're also going to need to spend some time working on biter egg production. So this setup here is nice and fully functional, but it isn't like big enough. So we need even more of this sort of thing. So let's just... I mean, what happens if we just take this entire block and just copy paste it? What do we get that isn't needed? We get an extra artillery turret if we do that. That's fine, probably. And all the rest of this is, like, pretty much good. So this setup here stores a whole bunch of biter eggs. Why? Oh, right, this was for the launching process. How's Gleba doing on that front, by the way? So that was mostly to feed these guys. We have 1.5k and 1.1k. So that's all going pretty well. We don't want another one of these guys, though. All the rest of this, though, is like basically fine. Yeah, let's just... And then the train side of this is defunct. It doesn't do anything anymore. Alright, yeah, let's literally just copy-paste this entire thing over and just plop it down. I guess we can even have it nice and aligned. That would be fun. So something like that. And let's see. Yeah, just plop it down like that, and then we remove that requester chest, which will break the entire thing. So that won't happen. All the rest of this stuff gets built. And we are 41 laser turrets short. Oh, that's just because of drone port coverage range, probably. So that drone port needs to be connected up to the grid like that. And... okay, wait, no, we have like 1 billion drone ports out here. We don't need this many. You probably don't need to exist. These 3 probably cover mostly. Okay, if that's the case, we might actually be low on laser turrets. Where's our laser turret production? It's somewhere over here, down these guys. Alright, we have 13 laser turrets currently. They are being produced in very old-fashioned machines, so let's upgrade those. and they otherwise have everything they need. So these can't be productivity moduled, right? Yeah. So in that case, let's speed module them, and let's store a couple more stacks of those than we otherwise have been. So that is now going out, and these are all running and making our laser turrets. So then the heating tower is the other thing which we're apparently short on. We craft heating towers up here, and you are short on boilers. We craft our boilers down here. Wait, no, these are heat exchangers. Where do we craft our boilers, if anywhere? Boiler. Okay, we have two places. We've got this one up here, which isn't connected to anything. Wonderful. And we have this one over here, which is just set up wrong for some reason. Why did I do it this way? This needs to request stone furnaces, not whatever it's doing. Okay, you request... Where are they? Stone furnace. So now this makes boilers, which can then make heating towers. Alright. And then the only thing that we're missing are the biter nests themselves, and potentially enough bioflux to keep these guys fed, although hopefully that'll be fine. I don't know what this is for. Why do I have two of these? What was I doing with that? I don't know. That shouldn't make any difference, but I guess it exists anyways. Okay, so these are these still getting made? No, we were short on cold fluoroketone. This guy has 100... Oh, this is where all the stupid barrels keep going. This is where all the stupid barrels keep going. Alright, somewhere... You probably... You need to take... like 100 barrels at a time from Novice. And then... probably just deliver those back to Aquilo. I guess... theoretically, this should be getting itself sorted out, right? Because somewhere in here, you have someone bringing just, yeah, a whole bunch of steel plates to Aquilo, and that should get the barrel supply back up and running. And that should be here now, right? And we're requesting 500 steel plates and 100 barrels. So the steel plates should be here. And there they go. So that should get our barrel supply up and running once the drones figure themselves out. We also, speaking of drones, we need more of those guys down, and we have a couple hundred each on Aquilo Support 1, which is the manual one. So let's send that over to Aquilo. Just get some extra drones placed so that we have more than 105 logistics drones, which is not at all enough for what we need to be doing here. Alright, so barrels get produced, they get sent up there, and now we're all cooking along. We now have some foundation going. Which one of you guys is asking for foundation? You are. And your minimum payload is 50 as usual, which you have. You have 50 of that. Okay, so you... Where do we need the foundation? We needed it on Fulgora, actually. So that will be fun. We're gonna have to get that over there. I wonder if Nah, Foundation probably doesn't do anything on Gleba. Probably all just landfill and other stuff. It's definitely good for Vulcanus, obviously. Okay, let's look at the uranium supply. This is all going well, right? Yeah, everything is just fully maxed out. We are occasionally doing some recycling. So nuclear power is all good. So we need our fluoroketone to come on over. And that's possibly going to take some time for it to all get set up properly. But we do have... We are apparently sending some barrels somewhere. So that's good. Those are probably going up to Aquilo support too. Yes, we're sending 50 of those up, and they're going to head over to Novice probably. And that should get the biter egg supply up and running again, which will hopefully just double this. Let's see, is this capped out? So you have filters for 2,000, you have requests for 2,000 biter eggs, and there's 900 being delivered at any given moment. So if we double this, it shouldn't cause any problems. We should still be able to deliver all those biter eggs, and we might, at some point, need to add another stack inserter onto here to get them all out, but that doesn't seem to be the case currently. So that is all just churning along. This is just sort of letting Bioflux spoil for no value currently, and that's fine. Okay, so everything seems to be going well there. Check back to Fulgora. We're up to 86 red circuits. And we've got another one there, and so far nothing out of this guy. So far that one's just been a little bit useless. Novice hasn't picked up any more productivity modules, so we're still going to have to wait for those. And this is just cooking away to make these guys. Now we have 106 of them, and probably just going to keep on doing that. We have plenty of spare barrels now, at least for the short term. So Aquilo support, whichever this one is, you're the one heading back to Novice, and you just left seconds ago, so that'll take a while. Okay, Fulgora is still incredibly scuffed. Still needs a lot of work to get built up properly. The scrap supply seems to be doing fine-ish. Could be a lot worse. We certainly have enough blue circuits to feed these guys, that's for sure. So that is just going around in circles. Round and round it goes. What do I have up there? Let's just clear that one out. Have we ever successfully made... Wait, is this... Why did this... Oh wait, that's less than? That's less than... Oh wait, we didn't get this out here, which... I guess because this is all... Because this isn't receiving any legendaries, and... Yeah, so this isn't receiving legendary modules, and it isn't receiving any legendary items. So theoretically, this will never get any direct blue circuits, which is fine. We can obviously just craft them up real fast using the red and green circuits. That shouldn't be an issue. And how's our epic supply? So epics are at 50 and 500, so they're like halfway to running. And once those run, then we're going to get a whole another giant wave of legendaries. And until they run, we're not getting much of anything. Yeah, this is the sort of weird, annoying thing about this setup, is that The legendaries come in giant batches. It's not like a steady output. You get almost none for a long time, and you get a whole bunch all at once, and then you go back to getting almost none. So, let's see here. So planning for Fulgora, we get scrap over here, we recycle it all down, and we need to then have how many trains do we need for this? So this outputs 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there an easier way for me to look at this? Scrap recycling recipe. Where are you? Scrap recycling recipe. Outputs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different items. So, theoretically, I need to have like 12 different train stops for each of the different items that can get output by the scrap. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. Okay, let's get Aquilo Stone. You're the one who carries the foundations currently, right? Yeah, I don't think we want that. I think we need you to not do those. We need someone who visits, like, everything. Like, so Aquilo Support visits Fulgora. And, oh yeah, so I think Aquilo Support is going to be the most convenient one, because we really only need it on Fulgora. Having it on Vulcanus would be nice, but not ultimately necessary. But Fulgora, we just sort of absolutely need it in order to function. So let's get that set up. And it's probably never going to get 500 at a time, but at least it's something. And let's see here. 50, 100, 200, 300. Yeah, let's just let it theoretically stock up to 500 at a time in case we have the resources to do all that. Then we might as well. Because obviously, the more foundation, the better. So let's think. So we head. Let's just bring the Spidertron over here, just so that we can look at it. And did you ever pick up the radar? I'm pretty sure I gave it a radar to hold at some point. Okay, so we're losing drones here, and that's just down in this area. So that is fine. So that area is currently being covered. Alright, so Spidertron, please get to within this little setup down here, and then we can pop a radar down so that we'll always be able to see this. Oh, and an accumulator. Accumulator, where are you? Okay. So now, when another lightning strike happens, this will all be set up and running to power this radar. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to set up like a bunch of train stops all next to each other. So we start. Let's start by just making one and then just like seeing just how much space this is going to take up. Of course, it's not going to tell me. Spidertron. Alright, so yeah, the Spidertron does have railway stuff in its inventory. So that we need more space. And then you run back there. And you apparently don't have a railway station in your inventory. So that's a problem. But you do have plenty of ramps and rails and other assorted random junk. So let's get train stops into your inventory, and potentially more than 10 of them. Okay. And so then you're going to run all the way over there. It's a storm, but that's what you've got your force field thing for. And we just need to see how compactly we can make a bunch of different train stations. And then the other thing we could do is we could just use one train station and use clever circuit stuff to get it all built up. So we'll have to think about that. And it's kind of annoying that we have to do all of this outside of our drone network for now. We're definitely going to be using Foundation to pull all that stuff across. And I assume none of that's shown up yet. No. Still 0 out of 500, but Aquilo support has 100 Foundation. Oh wait, no, but you're not set up to actually go anywhere. So again, that's the wrong one again. I keep getting confused by that. So we're going to just send that back down. Aquilo support 2. You are going to be the one to bring the Foundation up. And that'll just happen slowly but surely. It'll take a while, but it'll get there eventually. Okay, so Spidertron is over here. We can build this train stop down. Now, can we also just get some collectors up here so that I can have my Spidertron stand in the area without exploding? I guess we don't need them to actually be powered or anything. So, this goes back to like there, basically, is how much space we need for one of these stops. So, okay, but if we feed everything into just one... If we feed everything into just one train station, then we might have belt speed issues, and that wouldn't be good. So what I'm thinking is, like, we have, you know, something like this, where we feed all of these in from chests, and we're not worried about actually building this, we're just designing at the moment. So all of this stuff gets fed in, and if we have some way of knowing which train is visiting, that's what we're going to need. So we need you. So we can read train ID, which would be kind of brute force. We could do read train contents and just like have one... We could just have one item in it. Let's see. Or we could just like fill up the train with junk and then just only have it go around and only unload at the destination what it needs to. So on this side we would be filling trains up with everything that comes out of scrap. And then at the destination, the inserters would just be filtered to whatever resources they need there, and then that would actually be really convenient, because then anywhere where we need more than one resource, we would just set the filters differently. So yeah, that should actually be quite convenient. And so then the only question is, how much of a limiting factor is this speed gonna be? So this is mostly limited by the amount of items on the belt. This stop over here outputs real fast. Okay, the other thought is, like, is this just gonna be inefficient? Like, in terms of, like how much stuff we can put on the trains. Is this what we really want to be doing? It'd be real cool if we could do some sort of buffer thing to have pure trains. I guess we could just have them like filter out at other locations, right? Okay, no, here's what we do. If we have this station here that just fills up with whatever junk is available, and then that sends it out to a bunch of different stations, that it just goes like on a big loop, and each of those stations just takes out one of the items and then just loads it up onto a dedicated train. But then that would be, the dedicated train would never run full capacity. And so the problem with doing it this way is that like everything we're doing would be limited by one train total. I guess we could have multiple of these random junk throughput stations. So what we need to do, we also need to get the scrap in. So we need to get the scrap in, we need to get the recycled processed stuff out. So we have our station here. Do we, because the problem is, right, this is what we've experienced back here with just these belts, is that there's a whole lot of gears and a whole lot of other items which, like, we just have a whole lot of. Like, a whole lot of gears, a whole lot of solid fuel. And that's all just going to clog up the entire system real fast. And I don't know... I mean, we want to filter those out beforehand, right? So yeah, I think we do want to have individual stations for every item. And then we need a filtering system to feed those. So we are going to need a whole lot of these, right? So we need just this, and we're going to need to... We are going to need the ability to, like... what's it called? We're going to need to be able to get resources in and out of the station. So how much space does that take? It shouldn't be too bad, right? It should just be, you know, something like this. I know I have a blueprint for this somewhere. I know I have a blueprint for this somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So this just goes something like that. Something like that. Okay, I'm gonna make a blueprint for this because might as well. So that, because I'm making a blueprint, I want to work extra hard to make this more compact than usual. Wait, no, this one goes back to there. Stop it, don't do weird stuff. And then this one comes over to there. Okay, so just in case I somehow don't have this blueprint, now I do, and this is train loader. Okay, so we have that, and then if we want a bunch of these in a row, so let's see, if that goes there, and then that's just barely not long enough to make it over that gap. So you can go, if you go like this, and then, oh wait, no, that's wrong. I forgot to combine the inputs together. So this has to go out. We need another one of you in, and then you get copy pasted. And there you are. So then this, does this not reach? No, that doesn't reach, but we actually have space in here. So this can go like out there, then in there, and then out there. So, you know, something like that. And then we can just use those underground belts to fill up these with, I guess, one belt maximum each. And that is fine. Okay, but now I'm thinking about this more, and if this is going to be limited by one belt each into the train system, that's still going to have gears taking up a whole bunch of space. So if we do the thing where we just fill up trains, we can still have multiple train stations here, right? And multiple trains doing the work. They're just all going to be filled homogeneously with random nonsense, and then that'll all get removed. Yeah, I guess that makes sense to do. So it'll prevent us from needing 20 trillion different stations all in one spot, but we can still use a bunch of stations if we need to. I also want to check. So the amount of scrap going in is 7.5 per second. The amount of items coming out is like 2.8 plus 1-ish is like almost 4. That's like almost 5. Let's call the points that would bring me up to 5. Then that's 6. So there are more, if I'm counting this right, there are more items coming out of the scrap than there are scrap going in, which is a little bit of an issue potentially. So we're going to need more output rails than input rails, basically, is what that means. Okay. So with that aside, we need to come up with a plan for the output of this stuff. So these don't, they seem to be fully stacked, right? Like most of these, at least. Most of these are fully stacked, so we're going to be able to fit a good amount of items on. Although I'm not sure how much of that is just coincidence. The whole stacking thing and the fact that the stacks aren't consistent definitely makes this a whole lot more difficult than it might otherwise need to be. Okay, so we have our train inputs and outputs. What I want to do now is just think about the recycling. So if we just do something like this, you know, just very simple, straightforward setup, then like that can fill a belt with output pretty quickly. And then that will be doing it. So if we just have something like this to fill a belt of output, like the thing is we want to have a bunch of belts worth of output coming off of this, which means we're going to want to have a bunch of trains here to each take a belt, basically. So we can have like as many belts. Theoretically, we could output these to do all their own, like each of these has a full belt instead of this being one belt which splits into 4. We could have each of these be a full belt. That would require like a steady stream of trains coming in. So we would need like a train to leave and another train to immediately show up relatively promptly, which is probably possible. I still really don't like the fact that it's a whole bunch of random junk in the trains. I want this island to be a sorting station. I think Like, the more I think about doing it this other way, I think having the islands sort things out here makes the most sense. Just because that way we just have nice, clean trains and we can deal with it like a normal person from then on. Speaking of which, I've spent a lot of time standing here thinking about it. Did the foundations ever show up? No, they didn't. I was sitting over Aquilo. Oh. Aquilo support still is just getting all those launched up to it. Because I'm requesting it, despite the fact that I don't actually want that. So that gets launched down to Aquilo, and then Aquilo support 2 is going to get it picked up. And then also, meanwhile, Novice is getting those extra biter nests built. Just one at a time, slowly but surely, that's happening. Now, these biter nests over here are sort of running low on bioflux. Is Gleba support carrying enough? So Gleba support is carrying 1,000. What if we make you 2,000? We just wanted to make sure that we never run out of bioflux, because if we ever run out of bioflux on Novice, then like everything explodes, and that's very bad. I would rather everything not explode, actually. Okay, so somehow these fruits are staying stable mostly, except for the ones that have gone past this point where there's nothing to do with them anymore. How many items has this made? This has made like 1,300. It's not bad, and we've only lost like 9. I'm not sure how we managed to lose that. Like I guess it must have just been bioflux spoiling somehow. Who knows? Anyways. Gleba's going fine. Fulgora is doing fine. Did Vulcanus ever catch back up on its rocket launch capacity, or is this still an issue? And I guess the easiest way to tell would be the ones which feed it off of the drone network. Plenty of low-density structures, good number of processing units, good number of rocket fuel, so it looks fine. Everything looks fine, and the reason those numbers are small is just because these guys are limited to not store that many. And the rocket fuel might actually just be... Yeah, no, the rocket fuel is also just like this because the total stockpile is pretty small. So let's make sure the rocket fuel stockpile is higher. And it actually seems like the rocket fuel stockpile might not be making it. There's another 200 somewhere else, apparently. Who knows where that is. But as long as it can mostly keep up, then that's the important part. And yeah, let's just continue making that. Let's just make this chest like a full row at max, just so that we don't have any problems with that. And we have this for some reason. Okay, wait, we have a requester chest feeding into a pass provider chest. Well, that's not the world's most efficient way of doing things. It's not the world's most efficient way of doing things, and I imagine that's because we have some rocket fuel supply somewhere else, which is contributing. Though I don't know where that is. I don't know where it even would be. Let's search. Rocket fuel. No, it's only those 3. It must have been like some external import or something. Who knows? Who knows what exactly is going on? It's a mystery. But it's fine. As long as everything's launching, then I'm not worried about it. So back over to Fulgora. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we filter these items out in a relatively coordinated way so that we don't run into belt speed limitations ever. So if we go over here, and we have this whole setup, right? So we have this. And this is like all the items. So we just pop that down somewhere, mostly just to look at it. And we're going to have to tweak this a little bit. So currently, this outputs everything just to one side. What we need from this is we need a way of expanding this out to multiple rows so that if we have another belt coming in, it gets split presumably separately on its own row, and then they all get merged in nicely, which I guess would be basically just the job of a main bus type of setup. So let's put this somewhere where it has space. It's like, we put you over there, we deconstruct that one. So, first off, this one with the holmium ore needs to be here. And then you output up like that. And I don't know why these do that whole curve thing. It doesn't. It must have been something to do with the way this was set up on the other spot, but it doesn't need to be set up like that here. So we have all this, and then this is the stone. Oh, I forgot to do one of the earlier ones. That's annoying. We're gonna have to go back and figure out what that is. And then this is the blue circuits, and it goes that way. And then these each sort of merge up like that. Okay, so theoretically we have an entire belt of random stuff going in here. We have an entire belt of this stuff coming out. Now, what was the item that I'm missing here? It was after the concrete. It was gear wheels. Alright, so this is the gear wheels. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 items here. And we want to get all of these to combine up. So what we want to have is like something like this. Okay, well, maybe... So if we do it like this, then they go forwards like that, right? So this is something, and they go forwards like that, and then we just pop mergers down for each of these, and then we have this, and then they all get to be their output like that. So this merges two belts of input up into one belt of each in output. Now, if we want to get another one in, what we need to do is we cut you, move you back maybe just one, and then you also get this entire setup like that. And then we paste another one in And I actually want this to stay within a single block. So these inserters here actually would go like this. And then these would all go underground like so. And what we're making here is now 3 of these guys merging up into one belt. Like that. And then theoretically this process should be able to just repeat forever. Like if we just have this and then these. So let's see. I think, right, if we have these go in like this as the entrances to underground belts. I'm just trying to create a sorter that's like tileable, basically. So we copy paste this, and we can place another row there. And now this is like a billion of them all combined up, right? And they just sort of alternate back and forth, like the exact placements of them all. And then the inputs would just go in here, basically. So yeah, these would be the inputs. And we could bring this back like that. And then however we wanted this to be aligned, we could do it. And that filters them out quite nicely. So let's let's delete this bottom row just so that we have a nice respectable 4 of them together. And then blueprint this as a scrap sorter. Okay, so now we have that blueprint. That is all good. So we just filter we just put the recyclers outputs into these, and so we put the recycler outputs into these inputs. Then we need to feed these underground belts into all the various train stations, and then that will be good. And we can fill up to a full, we can fill a lot, right? Like a full turbo belt of each individual item, theoretically. Although it'll be a bit complicated to get the gear wheels through. So basically, the gear wheels are our highest item in terms of numbers, which will make a difference on the belts. I think the solid fuel might be the highest item in terms of like output to stack size, so that would be a constraint on the train network. And then one of those two will basically be the major limiting factor. And then this will all just get filtered out. And then we need to have our 12 train stations, which can then output those. So I think we will worry about this more next time. I think we're at a good point to wrap up. Let's just check back over to see how all this is going. Okay, we have 27 red circuits there and like 1,000 some green circuits. So I think we picked our items up. I wonder if we can see it if it's too late. But yeah, you have 89 advanced circuits. What did I set your minimum payload to? Your minimum payload is set to 100, so I don't know how you got 89. But regardless, not going to complain. And then we're going to need this to be set to like 2,000 or something. We're going to need to move a whole lot of green circuits off of Fulgora, because we're producing a lot of those, like by any metric. Alright, so yeah, 89 red circuits is not bad at all for how tiny that setup is. Like, that's what? A red circuit is theoretically 2 plastic bars, although with productivity it's what? Probably more like 1? Yeah, so a red circuit is a little less than a plastic bar, so that's like 100-ish. It's like 60 plastic bars, which for the tiny number of modules that I have over here is really quite fantastic. And that is that. Alright, but yeah, everything seems to be working out, and our new design is pretty cool. So thanks ever for hanging out, and we are going to be wrapping up the stream now. I'll see you guys tomorrow where we're doing Satisfactory. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by then. We are, I believe, we're expanding our nuclear pasta factory in Satisfactory, so that should be fun. And then we will be back here in Factorio on Wednesday, where we are hopefully going to be building this massive Fulgora expansion, which is going to be a lot of design work, and also probably a lot of getting resources shuffled around where they need to be. So if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by then. And otherwise, that is about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.